Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, Swallow Your Pride Month. Today, I'm bringing you this program based on the fact that this is Pride Month, and I have a problem. I myself, I'm a homosexual who has absolutely no real appreciation for Pride Month. I just don't. But there must be a reason. And I believe most of this reason has been connected to um, how it's been handled. And so I would like to go to my screen here and I want to show you a picture. Now, I can't remember the name of the gentleman, but this picture is based on something that is Oklahoma. You may not be able to read the back of it, but let me try. Not all country boys are bigots. Happy Pride Month. Now, to briefly tell the story of how this came about, and do understand that it had 145,000 uh, uh, likes, uh, thumbs up, or whatever, 21,000 comments, and 81,000 shares. Now, I don't want to criticize somebody who is not a homosexual but trying to show support. But in Oklahoma, this straight white male who claims to have had some uh, family and friends who happen to be, shall we say, LGBTQ. And he couldn't handle the disrespect that members of the LGBTQ community were receiving. So he went to a hardware store, picked up some paint, no, wait a minute, picked up some tape, and did this to the back of his truck. Now, here's the problem. If you have to go all the way out to do something like this, sure, it's a nice gesture, and I should be able to appreciate it. But it just seems to me that we really have to re examine how we are reaching out to the LGBTQ community. Why do I say that? Because there's something wrong here that they're not all that innocent when it comes to bigotry. I have witnessed there's an awful lot of hate going around, and for this gentleman to show so much respect and support for the LGBTQ community, well, okay, I'll go along with that. But what are what is the LGBTQ community doing to those who don't agree with their lifestyle? Now, I have to say that I believe God and the Bible are the biggest ally to a homosexual anywhere. Now, if you ask the LGBTQ community, all they'll do is rattle off the fact that the Bible's all wrong, or this and that and this and that, come up with a whole bunch of excuses. And they're basically confused and I don't know, they're conflicted because many believe that there is a God, but they can't handle stuff that's written in the Bible. Why? Because when they read it, they don't read it with common sense. And if they don't read it, all they're doing is taking somebody else's word for what's in it. For instance, if the Bible says man shall not lie with man as he does with woman, oh, Christians usually take that and run to the bank to justify their hate. And I say hate because their displeasure or disgust with people who happen to be gay. Well, there's a lot of things that the Bible says. I'm going to give you a for instance. I think it's Deuteronomy. The elders of Israel, no, it's Judges, excuse me. Judges, the book of Judges. The elders of Israel were trying to solve a problem where the Benjamites had went to war and got the spoils. There weren't enough women around to go around. So the elders said, look, the king of this one area, he has a celebration or a party or whatever for his birthday, and there's young ladies dancing around for his birthday. Well, when the ladies come dancing around, you go and snatch them up for wives. Well, now, now you're going to tell me that if the Bible says kidnap women for wives, we go along with that today? No. So the fact is just because it's in the Bible, man shall not lie with man as he does with women, you have to use your common sense. And your common sense should tell you that the time in which this was written, which was not too far distant from the time where the elders of Israel were instructing their soldiers to go kidnap women for wives. So the point of the matter is all throughout the scriptures, there are some things that are in there that don't make sense. Well, it makes sense to me. And the thing is a lot of the things that I believe did happen in the Bible, I'm not discounting it. I'm saying that when I read the Bible, I read it as a guide. And reading it as a guide, I know that God has used me and has told me to do certain things. And I can only tell you, God is not tripping off of my homosexuality. Now, might God ask you to do something for him? And if the homosexuality is in the way, you should push it aside? Yes, that happened to me. And when you have completed your task that God has for you, yeah, go back to God. But the fact that I am suggesting that young homosexuals basically swallow their pride I'm basically saying don't get too excited about what is being preached from the LGBTQ community. Here's another point. Where we live here in San Francisco, I have to ask the question, why would you honor a homosexual who is a politician more than a homosexual who saved the life of the President of the United States? If I am a homosexual and I say, I'm tired of living a lie, you've heard that term, because people hide their sexuality. Well, my point is, why would I want to, shall I say, come out the closet and run into the arms of people who are lying about anything? Now, that is difficult. I am not saying that you run into the arms of an accepting LGBTQ community, and I'm not saying that you run into the arms of the people in the church and turn your life around. I'm not saying that. I'm saying run into the arms of God. Well, now, if you don't know who God is, I suggest that you pray to the God who created heaven, earth, you, and me. That's it. Meaning, when I say you and me, I mean man, woman. And if you are not sure of who God is, I guarantee you, God is going to detect when you're really sincere, and he'll answer you. But if you're like, well, I'll do it if this, or I'll maybe, I used to go to church, but I can't do it anymore. Church is too boring for me. I don't like what the Bible says. And you do all of these excuses and stuff like that. Well, then you hang on to your little old pride. But I'm saying swallow your pride, humble yourself, and let God lift you up. And I'm saying that that's what happened to me. And I could not be more happy. Now, let me say this. I am a black man who happens to be homosexual and has never been able to walk. Well, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that I had a choice at birth of what I wanted to be. Nobody in their right mind would choose to be in this society to say something like, when I grow up, I want to be a black, crippled homosexual. It just doesn't happen like that. But that's my lot. That's what I am dealing with. And I love the challenge. I have something else for you. When it comes to pride, I'm not proud to be a homosexual. I'm not proud to be crippled. And I'm not proud to be black. Why? Because I had no choice in either of those. Now, I'm proud of the way I handle being black. I'm proud of the challenges that I've handled being a person who has never been able to walk. And I'm proud of the fact that I don't need to go flaunting my sexuality around. And how I handle myself as a homosexual, I don't have a problem with that either. Wouldn't change either one of those things about myself. Now, if God shows love for a black crippled homosexual, I'm telling you, you should listen to this black crippled homosexual because God knows what I am dealing with. And for me to have the joy that I have, man didn't give it to me. God did. Did God require something from me? Yes. He's asked me to do things many a time. And more often than not, I went on and did it. But I believe that there is something seriously wrong when a person has to put on the back of their truck something like this just to let America know he ain't down with uh, what all of the shorts, excuse me, he ain't down with all the bigots of the world. And when you look at the fact that we have some real interesting situations in the year 2019, I say that it's all about respect. And if you learn to respect your fellow man, you'll be all right. Part of that respecting of your fellow man, let's take Pride Month for instance. I happen to like a good parade. But when I see something like Carnival that's here in San Francisco, oh, I'm telling you, there's some scantily clad women and men, and they're dancing and celebrating, and it really looks nice. But the pride parades, uh, they are an in your face, in my humble opinion, an in your face display of arrogance. And I'm saying that this is not helping to let people, you know, be more accepting towards homosexuals. Now, there's all kinds of parades. You got 4th of July parades. You got um, all rose parades. You have Thanksgiving Day parade. You have all kinds of different parades for this or for that. Veterans parades. All of these different parades. And they're a parade to where people want to show their support. But when you go to this year's Pride Parade, take a good look. Yes, there's an awful lot of people who are happy. But there's an element there that I'm saying needs to come down a bit. And I am saying that if you really look at this, this is not going to help you solve your issues. Let me explain. When I told my father that I was a homosexual, he basically said, "Oh, Alan, so what? I still love you." And I really felt stupid. Why? My father had 10 kids. If one of his kids came to him and said, I'm a homosexual, why would he, having 10 kids, just toss one aside because he's not straight or heterosexual? I didn't think that way. Why? Because my head was full of the garbage that everybody else in the church and those who just don't even believe in God and happen to be homosexual are saying. And I'm saying that it was hard for me because I felt stupid because my mind was being twisted and used in certain, I was just, I guess ignorant is a word that best describes what I was going through. But then there's this: the LGBTQ will never tell you that coming out of the closet, you still will feel shame. That's what happened to me. When I claimed to have come out to my father, I lived with the shame for 30 years. And what stopped the shame? I was in a library and I was looking up a story and doing some research for a book. And I came across the story about a man by the name of Oliver Sipple. And Oliver Sipple, in 1975, September 22nd, saved the life of the President of the United States, what was his name? Gerald Ford. When a woman tried to assassinate the president, he was credited with grabbing her arm and deflecting it to where it went off and it hit a cab driver or something like that. And I'm saying that the aftermath really woke me up. The aftermath was in San Francisco, no less. This man was not honored for his heroics by City Hall. In fact, for 24 hours, his parents in Michigan, they held their son as, oh, they were proud of him. But they didn't know he was a homosexual. So when Oliver Sipple, when it was reported that Oliver Sipple saved the life of the President of the United States and he was a homosexual, his family turned on him. You can save the life of the President of the United States and be rejected by your own family just because you're a homosexual? That hit me. It woke me up. It let me know there's nothing wrong with being a homosexual. There's something wrong with people who will disown you if you're a homosexual, regardless of if you saved the life of the President of the United States, let alone anyone else. And so that woke me up. And then so I started thinking, you know, when you really look at it, coming out to people who got it all wrong, why would I be trying to get approval from them? If they're wrong, there should be no reason for me to come out to get their approval and acceptance. Therefore, I have a saying. And I'll explain the saying because you might not get it. I have a saying that I'll come out of the closet when I'm finished having sex in the closet. What does that saying mean? It means, yes, I'm a homosexual. So what? Now mind your own business. That's what it means. I created that. And so that's how I explain it. I heard a saying from somebody many years ago. Maybe 30, 35, somewhere around there. And I love the saying. And the saying is, the greatest peace of mind you'll ever enjoy is when you mind your own business. And so it's tough, I know, for people to mind their own business. But the only way I feel safe in letting people know my business is if I respect them. And if I respect them in a certain way to share certain things, yes, I'm going to do it. And I found somebody like that. The person died when he was maybe 83 years old. But I had a friend who was a lot older than me. He was a homosexual and he understood me. And he appreciated me and he wasn't trying to get in my pants or anything like that. He treated me with the utmost respect, knowing that I was a young homosexual, and he just wanted to make me feel like I wasn't crazy. And I am not offering my services, but I am saying if you're young and homosexual, I suggest that you find one individual who is not trying to cop a feel, if you will, and that person happens to be homosexual, I'm saying befriend that person and share with that person what you're going through. And I'm telling you, there are some people around who aren't going to give you the BS that's from the LGBTQ join the club of whatever. I honestly believe that there are enough people still around who have self respect that they don't need to go flaunting their sexuality around. And there's an awful lot of them who are successful, have grown into be successful individuals. Why? Because they're taking care of business. Now, let me tell you something. If I had sex every day from the time I first went into puberty until I'm 103, homosexuality is still this much a part of who I am. And so I'm saying that there's an awful lot of people, sadly, who believe this is what they are. Sexually, that's what they are. That's that much of them. Well, okay. But I'm saying don't expect people to start respecting you when you flaunt yourself in a way. And I'm telling you, this message on the back of a truck, bigots or not everybody's going to respect you because I'm no bigot. And there's some I just cannot handle. There are some homosexuals flaunting themselves around, and I'm basically, oh no, I don't. You're not going to get me celebrating this. And so, as we move into a critical time, I highly recommend that you swallow your pride and call out to God and ask Him if He will direct you. Inviting God into your life, I guarantee you, He ain't going to reject you. I don't care how big of a homosexual you may be, but just listen to Him. He's going to send people your way, and I suggest highly that you don't be too scared. Swallow your pride. Hook up with Jesus. And I guarantee you, you'll be all right.